Okay, so I decided to make this online video for my models, for future models, because a lot of models, they don't really get to, there's no way to get to know your photographer before going out and meeting them. So this is kind of my way of models getting to know me before coming out to shoot. And so I asked a few models on Facebook, kind of, what would you like to know about your photographer before going to shoot with them for the very first time? And we had a few of them answer in, and so we'll get to those. Sorry, I'm a bit dirty. I just got done with the shoot today with Janelle, and so we're kind of pushing through for the day. This is actually Super Bowl Sunday, so this is our highlight of the day, what we're gonna do. So this talking to the camera's a little weird for us. And so if you want to read off what the questions were, we can kind of go with it.
Okay. Alright, so these are the questions that we wrote down from the models who responded on Facebook, and I'm using their Facebook name, so if it isn't actually correct, then I don't know, this is what Facebook says that their name is. So Hannah Smith responded with, she wants to make sure that they aren't going to push her into doing anything that she's not comfortable with. And
with that, as a photographer, it's completely understandable. I know a lot of models, they do boudoir, they do artistic nudes, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're comfortable doing it with every photographer. And I don't, in any way, I don't want any of my models to feel that they're being forced into do something. I want, no matter what it is, if it's a dress and it's a glamour shoot, if it's a dress they don't think that works good with them, with their figure, their accessories, their eye color, that means they're uncomfortable and they don't need to be shooting in it. It's something that you don't need to push for, no matter what you feel as a photographer, that they look good. And so no matter what you're shooting, whether it's a dress, casual shorts and a tank top, or if you're going with the more risky stuff, doing lingerie or implied and even artistic nude, everything you do, everything I try to do my best to make sure that the model is very comfortable with what she's doing. If she feels that what she's doing isn't comfortable, then I'm like, maybe we shouldn't be shooting this right now then. Because maybe, especially if it is the first time she's met me and she's not sure that's something she wants to be doing, then it's not something I want to be doing at all. And so you need to stick, no matter how comfortable you are as a photographer and, doing these types of shoots, your models may not be. And that's something that a lot of people need to stick with and understand, that if the model's not comfortable, the photos are not going to turn out well. So, was that the only one she had, or?
Nope, she had a second one. She also wants to know that the photographers that are contacting her are legitimate.
Which is very hard. Trying to figure out if a photographer's legitimate can be very difficult, because photography it's a business that a lot of people do freelance. So they don't have their degrees, because their degrees in photography, or I guess with mine it would be graphic design, which someone hears that I got my bachelor's in graphic design, they're like, okay, but that doesn't make you a photographer. And which is true. But a lot of my photography skills, if that's what you want to call it, come from what I can do afterwards that I learned through graphic design. And so it really helps me a lot. But there are a lot of photographers that get published in great magazines that don't have their license. Like for I think 6.5 years, I didn't have my business license. You know, photography and modeling are both tough businesses that they take a lot of money to go through just to get set up and to pay taxes to be doing this on this type of business. But I do believe getting your business license for it, even, you know, maybe even getting your business license as a model once you've established a great portfolio might be helpful. But I'm now on my 2nd year of having a legitimate business. So I do have my business license. I actually just got my 2nd one for this year, because you do have to renew them annually. And so, but just make sure you go through their portfolios, you know, try to find their work elsewhere online. A lot of people use Facebook, which is a great social media. It's definitely one of the best I've found for getting more clientele. And so it's really difficult. You've got to be careful. And so I think that's all we have from Hannah. Mm-hmm. Who's next?
This next one is from Where is Jill? She says, what is their goal with their work, and how can I help them achieve this with all the resources at hand?
Okay. And so with that, I guess it all depends on what I'm doing. You know, for me personally, I would love to open up my own studio, probably more somewhere around where I am now, probably more around Vegas. Down somewhere in Florida would be great too. I like the warmer weather. It suits a lot of the photography I do better. We actually just came back from Vegas, so we miss it. We miss being warm. We're back up in Utah in the cold. Thankfully it's not snowing. It's actually a really nice day outside. But a lot of the work I do, we push to promote a lot of businesses. We try to make it best to bring in new models, experienced models, and show them off to the world, show the talent that they have. And a lot of the work that we work with is like, you know, Buckeye Lingerie, dollarpanties.com. Those are definitely two of our biggest ones. We have Sunbabe Swimwear, West Coast Bikini. Dragon Says Rar. She actually does some fantastic jewelry, or these little dragon miniature figures that are just gorgeous. I'm terrible with names. What are some of the other companies that we have?
We've also worked with Karen's Treasures, who's Playboy branded jewelry. It's all really sparkly. I love that stuff. We've worked with Orglamix Cosmetics and Lajazz Cosmetics. We've worked with Naughty Angel Clothing, and let's see what else. Villaindery, Decadent Decay, Sweet Asylum, Curiology.
We actually just got one. It was a video game one. It's
Chop Shop.
Chop Shop. They have some really good Pokemon, Zelda. They got some really cool t-shirts, socks, hats, and wallets, yeah. And I mean, these companies, our goal is to kind of try and help them get out there too. I love, as a business, I wasn't sure what I wanted at first. I loved creating art. I like making things beautiful, and, taking someone, as beautiful as Andrea here, where she's naturally beautiful, but then making it even more so, whether it's, putting her into a fairy tale land, you know, just enhancing certain things on the computer. You know, I still keeping her, because I know some people go overboard with Photoshop, and I try not to. I mean, there's a lot that you can do, and it's not my goal. I do like making things more elegant and beautiful than they naturally are, but still keeping it realistic. And yeah, I guess some goals I would love, you know, it would be great if I was shooting for, you know, I mean, obviously it'd be probably an offset type of photographer, but for Victoria's Secret, stuff like that would be great. But I know how hard it is to be, you know, to be starting a business and getting your name out there. And a lot of these companies, I mean, Baci Lingerie they're out there. They're already a big company. But, you know, even them, I like taking their work, their art that they're already doing, and making it, and promoting it, getting it out to the world. And I would love to continue doing that and building more and more stronger relationships with these types of companies. Just people that are there providing apparel, cosmetics, jewelry, accessories, just things that people use to show off their own personality. So I think I've probably over-answered that question a bit, but okay, so on to the next one.
Okay. Brianna Smedley wants to know what the styles the photographer likes.
Okay, and you know, I get that question a lot, and it's kind of hard to answer because I honestly do. I like doing everything. I like taking, you know, just everything and making it beautiful. And it can be difficult with certain things. There are certain styles that can be quite difficult. I mean, even like Gothic styles, generally a lot of the way people do them, they're doing it how they like it. But like, is it the Gothic Beauty magazine? They've got a lot of beautiful Gothic type women, and I don't know if they have men. I think it's just a female magazine. But that show off the dark makeup, the more nightlife type of styles, and make it very beautiful. I guess my favorites are probably, I'd have to say probably glamour, where it comes to dresses and things like that. That's one of them. And then I'd probably go with swimwear and lingerie. And I guess so far I've made quite a name that that's my style, is lingerie. And I guess the reason is with the dresses, swimwear is a little different, but like I guess you still have to be comfortable with your body for swimwear as well. But as for lingerie, a lot of women they have a hard time wearing lingerie. They're not very comfortable with their bodies. They're not sure what their significant other thinks, what their friends might think. Especially, lingerie used to be a bedroom thing, and it has definitely taken over the world more and more. It's probably a Victoria's Secret thing, that their fault. And so, but showing off what you look like in lingerie, to where it's not just a significant other seeing it anymore. It's your friends, sometimes family. And a lot of women aren't comfortable in it. And I like when you get to the point, because obviously when you're shooting it, they need to be comfortable enough to shoot it. You don't want, like we talked about before, you don't want to force them to shoot it. But when that's something they want, and you can get them into it, just after that one session, once they get the finished product and they can see the photos and what they really look like, they're like, you know, kind of the, oh my gosh, it's beautiful, I'm pretty. And a lot of women don't understand that. And I like to be able to show them that, I guess, how I see them. I mean, I can't tell how, you know, you see them, how Andrea sees them. I mean, I get a lot of Andrea's opinions on everything I do. Having a second opinion or someone scan over my work all the time helps, because you know, unfortunately I can't see everything. I make mistakes, I go back and fix things later on, then re-upload the photos, resend the photos out. But it's making people happy in their own skin. I mean, I know I've got my own flaws that I'm not happy about, but it can be hard. And so, but when you want to prosper as a model, you definitely, you have to be comfortable with everything. No, even if that's as a model, all you're wanting to stick to is fashion and casual, you know, dresses, glamour. If that's all you're wanting to stick to, you still got to be 100% comfortable in your own skin. And I like helping people feel that way. You know, I've worked with more professional models to where they're already there. They're comfortable, they're ready to go. And I've worked with straight up beginners. They've never had a shoot before. They've never even done like little shoots with their friends. They've just, you know, they all of a sudden either they just wanted to try it out, figure out what it might feel like. And so that's kind of what I'm there for. I do my best to try to make people as comfortable as possible. And sometimes some models, unfortunately, they don't speak up when they're uncomfortable. Or they won't, even when you ask, they won't tell you. Which, yes, that does fall on the models. It falls on them. And I mean, there's only so much a photographer or anyone can do to make sure that a model is comfortable. That's a long story, but what else do we have?
Okay. Brianna also wants to know the photographer's attitudes towards their clients.
I guess that's kind of what this whole video is for. The show off kind of what we're like. I mean, we're probably both a little more stiff here than we would generally be. But when you first meet a photographer, that's, you know, or when you first meet a model, when you first meet somebody new that you're supposed to be working with, unfortunately, you're not generally just right up and open. So this is kind of my way, this whole video, is to let my clients know this, you know, this is my attitude, this is me. I do my best to be very understanding and open. I get, family gets in the way, work, problems come up. I mean, my last cancellation, unfortunately, it was like literally 6 hours before we were supposed to shoot that morning. She woke up with her kid late at night, and he was running a fever and sick, and so we had to cancel. And things happen. I understand that. Just, I guess to me, I would like to know as soon as you know. As soon as my client knows that, yep, I've got to cancel this shoot, or if they might know. They're like, well, this might come up, so by the way, we might have to cancel and push it off because this might be in the way, or my babysitter might be backing out. You know, I would like to know. I don't like to have someone tell me 10 minutes after we're supposed to be shooting, oh, I, you know, couldn't do that. I couldn't make it. Or just to, you know, not show up at all. No responses, nothing. And then 2 weeks later, a month later, a year later, I've gotten, you know, yeah, we need to shoot together. And it's kind of like, okay, what happened a year ago? Or what happened last week? Where were you? You know, you don't get a response until they think that it's just under the bridge because whatever was happening with them. Just talk. I'm more than understanding, and I'm very talkative, so as long as you're there and explaining it to me and not just blowing it off, we're going to be good, and we'll set up another date.
Okay.
What else do we have?
And Brianna, she also wants to know the reviews that the photographers have.
Reviews of hard. When I saw that, I thought, I thought it was great because, when you go online to eBay or Amazon, you look through the reviews when you're going to buy something. And I've tried actually to set up a review place on my website. Actually, I think it's on my older website. I don't know if it's on my actual legit website now. Where I've tried to get people I've worked with and clients to go let others know about their experience. Unfortunately, they have a pretty busy life, and they don't really share too much. I guess a lot of it you could see you could go to the Facebook and talk to other models I've worked with. There's a place where you can rate my page, and you can look at the reviews under there, what people have given. They rate it from 1 star to 5 stars. Some people some people I've never met. So some people that have give their opinion on there, they either say they do or don't like my work, or whichever opinion there is. But all my work you can go through, and you can see, you can go and talk to the models. There's a few photographers I can list that you could talk to that I've worked with. You have Jay Simmons. I've worked with him a few years ago. Not much, but we keep in touch here and there, so he's probably someone you could talk to. He actually runs Midlight Studios in American Fork. And so, and there's Wayne, I forgot his last name.
Matlock.
Wayne Matlock. He works out of Studio O2 up in Salt Lake. I guess I don't think we've ever actually shot together.
No.
But, I've met him. He kind of knows me there. Then there's Austin Lindsay. Yeah, I think he's based out of Orem still. He's in Utah. And, I talk to him and run into him every once in a while. Those are some photographer references that you can talk to. Then you can go Peter, I forget his last name. Bukiri. He's based out of Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And Philip Rice.
Yes.
Philip's actually a videographer. We actually, with Pete and Phil, that's actually where we just got back from Vegas with. We were out there shooting for Candy Girls. And, they're great to work with. Unfortunately, those here in Utah may not be able to work with them. And, it's possible you might. I know we're trying to get some girls down here into their magazine, their Candy Girls magazine, Visual Candy.
Visual Candy Models is the name of the modeling agency that we run, but the magazine itself is just Candy Girls magazine. And that's I believe it's a quarterly magazine, so it should be coming out every 3 months.
Okay, and those are a list. I'll try to, see if we can put a link right here. If I can work that out. Like I said, this is our first video. I wanted just to put this together so my clients could try to get to know me as best you can this way, with, out actually meeting me first. So. And what do we have?
Okay. Selena Caldwell wants a list of the references so that she can, because talking to fellow models and the photographer, and photographers that they've worked with.
Okay, and yeah, like I said, I've listed the photographers, a few of the ones that I've worked with. There's all my models. There's generally, especially, well, the ones that are listed on Facebook and things like that, places you'll see here, you can always go write them a personal message. As long as that's what they wanted, they're credited in every one of my photos, and you're able to go find them, and you can talk to them without me ever even knowing that you talked to them. And so they'll, be able to give you their honest opinion, what they really thought, how they really feel. I mean, there are some that may tell me they like my work, and they may tell you something different. Some people have a hard time bringing someone down, which is nice in general, but I do like to, the model is my main concern, and I like to make sure that she or he or the family, whichever it is 100% okay, and that they like the work, that they like what's done. If they don't, then things need to be changed and fixed. So
okay, and her Selena's second one, she wants to figure out whether it's straight business talk or making small talk to become more comfortable with the idea of shooting.
Yeah, and I know some people that's, I've met a few, unfortunately I don't find out till later on, a lot of people just like to do straight business. They like to be like, hey, what are we doing? Where are we meeting? Am I, providing my own, am I doing my own hair and makeup? Is there going to be an MUA? Is there going to be a hairstylist? Where are we going? What time? And then you don't talk to them again until that day. Or the day before, if you're just following up to make sure that, you're both still planning on being there. And I guess I'm okay with doing that as long as I know that's what the model or my client wants. If they're wanting it straight business, I do need to know. Because I'm a very open, talkative person. And so if I'm going to be, I do like to become more comfortable with the model. Having that time when you first meet them, it can be a strain. You're kind of sketchy on what to do, but if you've talked a bit, especially, you talk a bunch on Facebook, or you end up exchanging numbers and you're texting a lot, even just throughout your regular work days, you become a lot more comfortable. Then you meet up and you're like, hi, it's good to finally nice and meet you. And and I know that's the way it was with, Phil and Peter. We had talked to them quite a bit, and then we finally got to go down and shoot with them. And it's a lot for me, it's a lot nicer to feel comfortable already. And so I talk a lot, probably more than most, and more than most would like, but I do try, tell, if you feel I'm talking too much, generally just tell me to shut up. Be like, hey, I've got to work, I've got my kids, I'll talk to you in a couple of days, when our shoot or whatever. And so I'm very open, but if you want it to be straight business and you don't want to talk about, personal life, or you get comfortable with it, you just want to get there, get out because you can do it, and you're already full on friends, so obviously you don't need me as one. You just, you want to work together, that's fine. Just let me know. Those are things I would want to know, so I know where I stand and where you stand. So
okay. Tigeria Drayton wants to see examples of the photographer's work.
Most of my stuff is on Facebook. There's a few things that I don't put up on there per model request, because it's either, whether it's just family shots and they don't want it up there, or, some boudoir shots, artistic shots that they don't want their kids to see, they don't want their parents to see, they don't want family to see. Mm-hmm. So yes, not all my work is online because it's not meant to be. It's I work for you. So when it comes down to, I'm being paid for doing a certain job, that job is going to have limitations on what can be done. And yes, every model I work with, they sign their rights, so I have 100% permission to use the photos in anywhere I want. It doesn't matter, but I do my best to respect my clientele's wishes. So if they're okay with me putting it on Facebook, but they don't want to be tagged in it, I won't tag them. Even some don't even, you know, they're okay with showing their name, but they don't want to be tagged. Some don't even want their name on there. And if they don't, I won't put it there. And so, I forgot the full thing of the question. It was the examples of the work. So, all my work's on here. You can go to royaldinnergraphics.com. You can see some of my work there as well. You'll see more of it on Facebook. It's just, Facebook's made it a lot easier to upload, and to where, you know, the professional site, having a .com is just, it's great to be able to upload any type of work that you want, because Facebook doesn't allow everything. But getting traffic to run through there, and the social media on Facebook just makes it easier. It seems more beneficial. So normally I keep my work, a lot of it, updated there. It takes a bit for me to actually go update my .com, so.
Alright, Aurora Koftanau wants to know what kind of personality the photographer has.
I'm guessing we're kind of there. That's, you know, I know, you know, her question is kind of what this whole movie is, or video, whatever you want to call it. But I put it in there because, you know, it's hard to get to know the personalities, because everyone's different. Everyone you work with will, yeah, I mean, you could have the exact same personalities, but because some personalities are best left to best friends or closer friends, because, you know, some people do get uncomfortable with certain things. I mean, the family I grew up in they were crude, but a very, very open family, and so nothing really gets to me. You know, it's very hard to make me uncomfortable about what you're talking about. You know, whether it's your family vacation, your school life, your work, you know, your frustrations, your irritations, you know, with women, their monthly cycles. I talk about everything. I'm very, very open with anything. I get a lot of models like, yeah, this may sound weird. Can I ask you a weird question? This may sound odd. To me, there's really nothing that's weird or odd. I've been asked everything. And yeah, there are some questions obviously I haven't been asked, but you're not going to be able to ask me a question that I'm going to be uncomfortable answering. Now, obviously, there are questions that if it doesn't just involve me, if you're asking about me and Andrea, if you're asking about, you know, me and my son, if whatever, then I will more than likely limit it a bit, depending on, you know, with Andrea, if she's right there, then she can kind of go off how she feels, and it may become fully open. With my son and stuff like that, and my other two kids that are living in Hawaii with their mother, there are certain things that, yeah, I feel people don't really need to know. And so, but generally I'm very open with everything. So it's kind of, that's my personality. I'm very playful. So, like I said, here we're probably a bit more stiff. This is our first video where we've ever sat and just talked to a camera. So, we're hoping you guys enjoy this a bit.
Alright, Hayden D wants to know if escorts are allowed.
And that's great. That is actually a very good question. I get that quite a bit. And I always allow escorts. There's not always limitations, but there can be limitations. If it's a group shoot, or if it's just two models shooting and I have one model that's going to be in boudoir and then the other model is going to be doing boudoir or artistic nude, but she wants to bring, you know, her boyfriend or her husband, it's going to be a no. You know, that she can't bring that specific person. Now, if she wants to bring them and they want to be sitting in the other room, you know, doing, you know, playing on their own phone or laptop or whatever, I've had people do that. But it's kind of generally best if, you know, depending on the styles of shots that you're doing, I would try to bring a female friend. They tends to work out better that way. I know bringing a significant other, because, you know, sometimes significant others don't exactly agree with what you're doing. And if they don't agree with what you're doing, they may make you uncomfortable while shooting. And it can be it'll just make so the photos don't turn out. Generally, a female friend of yours will actually be supportive of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had quite a few significant others that have been, you know, great with helping their models, or their own, you know, wife, spouse, helping them be more playful, open, and I mean, especially when doing certain boudoir type things, they get to the point of, you know, where they're like, yeah, well, you know, my husband likes this, so yeah, it makes me feel good. But the other problem is, if they do want to do boudoir, and, you know, there's others over there in the corner like this, be like, can't believe she's doing this, and whatever type of stuff, then unfortunately the model is going to be focused on what they're thinking. It's going to lower their self-esteem. And so generally, depending on what style you're doing, it can matter what or who you're bringing with you. You know, like I said, escorts are generally always okay to have, but I know we personally, like when we went to Vegas, we kind of wish we would have brought a few other models with us. But we are hoping either to go down to St. George or Vegas this summer, and I know we're going to want to bring, you know, one or two with us, and unfortunately there you may not be able to bring, you know, somebody else. I mean, if we can, we will try to get a model that has a model she's already comfortable with. And so maybe we can get two people that way that are already with someone that they're basically be each other's escort, and go at it that way. But there's definitely somewhere you wouldn't be able to bring, you know, like a significant other or family members, unless I guess you all wanted to drive down and have your own hotel down there. There's, you know, people do that all the time too, so I guess we probably better get moving, but...
Alright. Hayden D also wanted to know how long they've been shooting with models.
Okay. It's a good question. I did start... I picked up photography about, you know, 12 to 13 years ago, but it wasn't until about 2007 that I decided I wanted to take it professionally and move towards a career with it. And, you know, of course I started with closer friends and girlfriends and stuff like that, to where of building an actual portfolio. Well, I pushed to expand, so from there, about 8 years doing it towards a professional goal, and it's been a bit, you know, it's a bit rough. It goes up and down, but I would say these past about just over 4 years, I've pushed it farther. And then these past 2.5 years, especially since we've been together, it's been pushed even farther. I mean, just last year, mainly because of Andrea, yes, you know, I have to give her a credit on that. We've been published in 17 magazines. And, you know, before that, I'd never been published before. And it's a great feeling. And so, yeah, I guess 8 years I've been working with models, but pushing it a lot more just within the past 4. And so...
Okay. Ashley Rosso says, is there a story to recreate?
And that does generally depend on what styles of shots you're doing. You know, there was Anika Shield. Shield or Shields? I think Shield. Her and her friend, they actually had some fairy tales that they wanted to recreate, and Anika, personally had actually done Little Red Riding Hood. And Andrea actually has a beautiful pup, Sasha, that we used as our wolf. And so recreating that was great. It does depend on what you're shooting. Some people, they do want to, like the family shoot today, her son's going away, he's joining the Marines, and so they wanted to have those photos before he goes of, the memory of being together. And so it all just depends. We've created one where it was, basically a woman showing herself a good time. She took herself out on a date. She had some, she had her wine upstairs in front of the fireplace, and she came downstairs. She took a nice hot bubble bath, candle lit, and she came and crawled into bed. Is definitely more on the, I guess, erotic side. And it started out glamour, just wine, and then it moved on, but it depends on the shoot. And so I know a lot of models, they want to create something. They want to be able to jump into a fantasy, a fairy tale, no matter what it is, and they want to be able to recreate it. They want to be a part of it, which can be difficult, and it does become more expensive. But generally we can figure things out, and we push forward and make it work as best we can. Obviously, the more money we have, the more fun and playful we can get with it all. So
okay. Now we're on to the questions that were asked by people that wanted to stay anonymous. So they're kind of just the rest of the questions that we have. The first one is, what editing techniques will they use, and how and if the images will be edited?
Okay, I actually think we had already gone over that. I will edit my photos to, remove blemishes, do fantasy backgrounds, change some lighting, sometimes play with hair color, it depends. Different shades of clothing may come in. If you've got light blue jeans on, they may end up a little darker, they may end up a little lighter. Generally, I won't edit shape. I'll do my best not to make you look like a, plastic Barbie doll. And I know I work with, especially the companies that we shoot for, we work generally with petite models. And I know some people, they're like, oh, I feel, a little bloated, I feel like I was fat, oh, I like this. And I generally will not, give an hourglass figure to someone who does not have an hourglass figure. Nor will I go the other way, to, I guess, be cruel to someone and make them appear bigger than they are. There are certain things that I've done that if you pose a certain way and it leaves unflattering spots, that sometimes, yes, I will remove them. I will edit them out, so because I know that it's the only reason is because we got a great shot, but because of the way you were twisting your hips, you're twisting your body or whatever, that it gave that unflattering pose or whatever. And so I may remove that, or I may lighten it up a bit, but generally I try to keep you as real as possible, unless I'm playing around and turning you into a fairy or girl Stephanie, I turned her into, you know, kind of a she snake and things like that. And so it depends, you know, if I get playful and it's obviously a fantasy, you know, they may be more something else than you. But when it comes to adding to your port, modeling photos, it's generally all you. So.
Okay. The next one is, how do you plan on giving me credit as a model?
Okay. And I knew that question was coming, so I kind of skipped over it a little. I know we've hit it in some points. But I'll always do my best to give credit to every model. I will post their names on Facebook. I will tag them on my website. I will write their names. Some models do prefer aliases, and so I use those if I'm given direction to do so. A lot of the times, you know, we do, like we've said before, we get some people that don't want to be tagged, but they still want to be given credit. And I think no matter who it is, whether it's the makeup artist, the photographer, the model, I have a link on here, you know, my modeling tips 101. But no matter whoever was involved in that shot in any way, whether it was the background, your hair, your toenails, whatever, in that specific shot that can be seen. So obviously if someone did your nails and someone did your toenails, two different people, and you can see your hands but not your feet, you're not going to credit your pedicurist, just your manicurist. And so, but, you know, if you're wearing, you know, if you go buy brands from Walmart, then you're probably not going to credit them. If you go buy it from Victoria's Secret, you're probably not going to credit them. Unless, like, for me, to where, you know, we are, you know, being sponsored from Baci and West Coast Bikini and other places, we do want them listed. So if, you know, even if you crop the photo, because I know Facebook forces you to, you know, credit me, credit your hairstylist. Even if it was you, if you did your hair, probably put it there so people know that. You know, I would literally credit everyone involved as much as possible, because like when I go through and I look through photos, I'm like, yeah, this is, you know, this is a great photo. And so sometimes, you know, yeah, I'm generally, when I'm on Facebook, I'm looking for more clients, more models. But there are a lot of times I see a great shot, just fantastic, and I want to see more of the photographer's work. But the model didn't credit the photographer, so I had no idea who did it. I mean, I generally see more photographers that don't credit their models. You know, I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, this is a great model, I'd like to work with them, but I have no way to contact them. There's no information whatsoever. So I honestly believe that you should credit everyone possible. And probably if they have a different name, and you know, obviously make sure they're okay with it. But if their, you know, their real name is one thing and their Facebook's another, make sure to put their Facebook name in there too. Because if you don't have that and you're looking for some name, you're going to get everybody but that person. So.
Okay. The next one is, if you do get my images published in a magazine, are you going to tell me about it?
And yes, I actually we have two. We have two models that we have that are supposed to be published, and we are waiting for the magazines to actually be published to make sure, because I don't like getting people's hopes up. I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm getting you published in this magazine, and then it doesn't happen. They'll be like, oh, he's just, you know, he's full of crap. That's not something that I want. And so when the magazine comes out, when we get it personally and we can see that, yeah, my images are there, we will, you know, always notify the other models that they have been published in the magazines, and I will send links on how they can buy them. So that, you know, they can either tell their friends to, you know, yeah, I'm in this magazine, you should go buy one, or, you know, whichever, however they want to go about it. But yes, I will never hold that information back because it's exciting for me to be published in a magazine, so I know it's exciting, especially for first-timers, to be published. No matter, even if it's the same magazine over and over and over again, it's exciting every time. So.
Alright, the next one is, where will the photos be used?
My photos, generally, like we already discussed, on Facebook and my website. There are magazines that we do try to submit to get them into. There are various places online they may be used. So online it's pretty much a guarantee unless we have a different agreement, general understanding that you're okay with me using them on Model Mayhem because family members are never going to see them there, but you don't want them on Facebook because Grams might see them. And I've got that before, and so I do just need to talk about it. And so generally, if you don't tell me no, then if you don't tell me where I can't put them, I will put them everywhere I have access to. And so if I do encourage, if there are certain places like you don't want to be tagged, you don't want them on Facebook. I've had people ask me to take them down from Facebook because their family members ended up finding them, and so they came down from Facebook, but they were okay with them being on my website and like Model Mayhem. And so if you don't want them somewhere, be specific. If you don't want them online at all, you want it to remain just between you and I and your significant other or whichever, make sure you let me know.
Okay, how long will it be before I get my edited images back?
That does all depend. If I end up shooting for trade, which is becoming more and more rare, it depends on my time schedule. Unfortunately, I do have to have a second job, and so I will get to them as soon as possible. There are some people I get 5 photos out within just a couple days, real quick, as quick as I possibly can. And then if I shot one model on Friday, one model on Saturday, one model on Sunday, then I'll try and do I'll do a photo of Friday, a photo of Saturday, a photo of Sunday, and then I'll repeat. I'll go in order, just rolling around. But if I shot 2 trades on Friday and Saturday and I just been busy for a week and hadn't been able to get to them at all, but then I had another shoot on Saturday that was a paid shoot, that paid shoot's photos would all come first, or generally come first. Sometimes I'll still mix it up a little, but they have priority over the trades because they paid for the work to get it done, and so it is more rushed. It is expedited that way. If we ended up doing a trade shoot and you don't feel, and I've had it to where I've gotten real busy at sometimes, and unfortunately I get a few photos out and then totally space it, and then it's a month later I have someone ask me and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, but if you want to expedite it, we can sometimes, I'll try and hurry, but if you want to pay to get it expedited even faster, so I can push through it and push it to the front of the line, then we can talk about that after the shoot, or I guess it'd be a little bit, because it'd be way after the shoot, and we can talk about what it would cost to be able to, so I can throw, 6 more photos out within the next 24 hours, so.
Alright, and our last question is, where will you be shooting? Will it be outside, or if you're shooting in a studio, is it a rented office space, or is it like an in-home studio?
Okay, and those are good questions, because a lot of those is what you're going to want to ask your photographer. A lot of photographers say, yeah, I have my studio, and they're shooting in their front room, or their friend's front room, or whoever, you know, some people have a studio and it's a rented space. They're sharing the studio. Like I know a lot of photographers do at Studio 020. They're sharing the space. It isn't their studio, but it is a studio that they're shooting at. Generally, most models do understand that wherever they're going is going to vary. And so, like, unfortunately right now, this is kind of what I have to work with. I'm kind of shooting out, you know, I used to be shooting out of a completely separate room within my home that I used as my studio. But here I'm kind of using my own bedroom as my studio. When we shoot in here, we pull our whole bed and everything out of the room, and then we set up and we go at it that way, or we shoot on location. If we're going to shoot on location, you're obviously going to know where we're going. And so, but right now, this is kind of what you see here is kind of it. I mean, the backdrop will change. This is a little more colorful than I usually do. This is kind of something I do for, you know, kids or Easter, more playful. And so, but, you know, I know a lot of people think it matters where you're shooting, but it doesn't. I mean, yes, it can give you a low opinion about someone, but there's a reason why, you know, artists throughout history have always been broke. That they're using what they have to create just beautiful things in the world. So this is generally our way of creating. I mean, this little space that we're stuck in for a bit, this is actually where we've put, you know, a lot of our work to where it got into those magazines that were published in last year. I like shooting in here because I have control of all my lights around here. The sun, as even the family I shot today, and Andrea knows, using the sun as a main light, especially when it's just us, when you have no excess helpers, when you don't have the money for, you know, the wind blockers, the sunlight reflectors, the sunshades, or the people to handle them, it can be very difficult. So in studio is easiest for me. I can get my best work that way, especially if you're looking to add it to your portfolio in studio, or, you know, your work. But if you're, you know, if you're doing swimsuit, I think the only reason we do swimsuit is when we're doing product shots. But other than that, we try to get to the, you know, hot springs. We try to get to the lake, reservoirs. I think the one time we've been to the beach, we didn't even do a swimsuit. It was in January and it was still pretty cold up there in Oregon. So I can't think of anything else. That this has probably gone on a bit longer than we anticipated, quite a bit longer. Can you think of anything you might want to add?
No, I think I've gotten everything.
Okay, and so I wanted to thank everybody that helped me with these questions. It's the reason I've made the video. I want to thank everyone that supported my work. And so there might be future videos like this, there might not. This was just something that I felt needed to be out there so people could understand who I am. I mean, generally this is how I dress on a photo shoot. If we're out somewhere and it's really hot, I may be a little more in shorts and a t-shirt. I like dressing up in suits, but can't do it in hot weather. And, you know, as a photographer, we got to move about as much as the model. It's restraining. And so this is probably about as dressy as I tend to stay. I mean, I still stick with my tennis shoes even after today's shoot, because my nice shoes, if I do that, they're going to bend, the leather's going to crease. And so if you have any other questions, feel free to, you know, leave your comments below and I can answer them. You can find me on Facebook. I'll leave some of the other links below. You can find me under Royal Lunar Graphics. You can find me under HRM Talon Blake. You can find me or Andrea through Andrea Blake or Andrea Anarchy. And so this is kind of it.